Chapter 11. What I heard in the apple barrel. The apple barrel. No, not I, said Silver. Flint was captain. I was quartermaster along of me timber leg. The same broadside I lost me leg, old Pew lost his deadlights. When Long John was in Flint's crew, and they got becannoned. Somebody shot a cannon at him, gave him a broadside, and blew his leg off, and blinded Pew in the same attack. It was a master surgeon, him, that amputated me. Out of college and all, Latin by the bucket and whatnot. But he was hand like a dog and sun-dried like the rest at Corso Castle. That was Roberts's men, that was. And come to changing names to the ship's Royal Fortune and so on. Now, what a ship was christened, so let us stay, I says. So it was with the Cassandra has brought us all home from Malabar after England took the Viceroy of the Indies. So it was with the old Walrus, Flint's old ship, as I've seen him muck with the red blood and fit to sink with gold. Piratical talk from Long John Silver. Oh, cried another hand, that of the youngest hand on board, and evidently full of admiration. So let's make him that little American extra. Ah, he was the flower of the flock, was Flint. Davis was a man too, by all accounts, said Silver. I never sailed along with him. First with England, then with Flint. That's my story. And now here on my own account, in a manner of speaking. I laid by 900 safe from England, and 2,000 after Flint. That ain't bad for a man before the mast, all safe in bank. He's talking, when he says these numbers, 900. 2,000. This is money he's made with Captain England, the pirate, and Captain Flint, the pirate. He's made his coinage. That ain't bad for a man before the mast, or safe in bank. It ain't earning now. It's saving, does it? You may later that. Where's all England's men now? I don't know. Where's Flint's? Why, most of them aboard here. Flint's crew are all aboard the Hispaniola. And glad to get the duff. That's the squire's doing the birthday cake for him every week. They can't believe they look, these pirates. Been begging before that, some of them. I'm only joking. He's obviously, when he says duff, he's talking about the bunts. He's talking about earning, because they're all low on money. These pirates, a life of crime's not paid. Pirating ain't the industry it used to be. Thatcher! Been begging before that, some of them. Old Pewers had lost his sight and might have taught shame, spends £1,200 a year, like a lord in Parliament. Where is he now? Well, he's dead now, and under hatches, but for 2 years before that, shiver me timbers. The man was starving. He begged and he stole and he cut throats and starved at that, by the powers. Well, it ain't much use after all, said the young seaman. It ain't much use for fools, you may lay to it. That nor nothing, cried Silver. But now you look here, you're young, you are. But you're as smart as paint. I see that when I set my eyes on you, and I'll talk to you like a man. You may imagine how I felt when I heard this abominable old rogue addressing another in the very same words of flattery as he'd used to myself. I think if I'd been able, that I would have killed him through the barrel. Meantime he ran on, little supposing he was overheard. Here it is about gentlemen of fortune. Gentlemen of fortune. Pirates. Their lives rough and their risks swinging, but they eat and drink like fighting cocks. And when a cruise is done, Why, it's hundreds of pounds instead of hundreds of farthings in the pockets. Now, the most goes for rum and a good fling, and to sea again in their shirts. But that's not the course I lay. I puts it all away, some here, some there, and none too much anywhere, by reason of suspicion. I'm 50, mark you. Once back from this cruise, I set up gentleman in earnest. Time enough too, says you. Ah, but I've lived easy in the meantime, never denied myself and nothing hard desires, and slept soft and ate dainty all me days, but when at sea. And how did I begin? Before the mast, like you. So he's inducting him here, Long John. He's seducing him to the way of the pirate. I've made my money, my friend. You go in the rat race if you want. That's not for me. I'm aboard that ship. I eat very well. I dress very nicely, as you can see. I buy things I like. Moisturizers. Pets. Like the parrot I've got. I've got goldfish at home. Got an iguana. And I can pay for the food for it. Don't come cheap, they eat weird things, iguanas. But I pay for it off my own back. And I started same as you, boy, before the mast. So this is an innocent sort of, an innocent seaman. Possibly, maybe he's a bit of a rogue anyway. But Long John's Heisenberg in him. Manipulating Machiavelli. Well, said the other. But all the other money's gone now, ain't it? You daren't show face in Bristol after this. Why, where might you suppose it was? Asked Silver derisively. At Bristol and banks and places, answered his companion. It were, said the cook. It were when we weighed anchor, but my old missus has it all by now. And the spyglass is sold, lease and goodwill and rigging, and the old girl's off to meet me. I tell you where, for I trust you, but it'll make jealousy among the mates. And can you trust your missus? Asked the other. He spelt Mrs. M-I-S-S-I-S. Mrs. I mean, I didn't know how you meant to spell. I thought it was Missus. Missus. With a U. Missus. Mrs. And you trust your missus? Gentlemen of fortune, returned the cook, usually trust little among themselves. And right they are, you may lay to it, but I have a way with me, I have. When a mate brings a slip on his cable, one as knows me, I mean, it won't be in the same world with old John. There was some that was feared of Pew. So, Pew was, we saw how nasty he was. We're doomed. Boston Jim's arm and that. And some that was feared of Flint, but Flint his own self was feared of me. Feared he was, and proud. They was the roughest crew afloat was Flint's. The devil himself would have been feared to go to sea with him. Well, now I tell you, I'm not a boasting man. And you seen yourself how easy I keep company, but when I was quartermaster, lambs wasn't the word for Flint's old buccaneers. Oh, you may be sure of yourself in old John's ship. Well, I tell you now, replied the lad. I didn't half a quarter like the job till I had this. I'm going to rephrase that. It's very difficult to replicate these piratical ways of talking. Or at least these nautical ways of talking from these good seafaring lads of the 18th century. I didn't half a quarter like the job till I had this talk with you, John. But there's my hand on it now. And a brave lad you were, and smart too, answered Silver, shaking hands so heartily that all the barrels shook. Jim's like that. Hang on, get barrel effect. Like that in the barrel. Well done. Good to have you aboard, And a brave lad you were, and smart too, answered Silver, shaking hands so heartily that all the barrels shook. And a finer figurehead for a gentleman of fortune I never clapped eyes on. He's working him. By this time, I'd begun to understand the meaning of their terms. By a gentleman of fortune, they plainly meant neither more nor less than a common pirate, and the little scene that I'd overheard was the last act in the corruption of one of the honest hands. perhaps of the last one left aboard. So Long John's he's been working the whole crew. But on this point I was soon to be relieved, for Silver, giving a little whistle, a third man strolled up and sat down by the party. "Dick's square," said Silver. "Oh, I know Dick was square," returned the voice of the coxswain, Israel Hands. "He's one of the pirates. He's no fool, he's Dick." And he turned his quid and spat. That's his chewing tobacco. Twing. That's what people used to do. They just used to chew tobacco and spit it on the ground. They did that in the Black Country till, I think I said that before, the 60s or something. They used to have spittoons in the pubs. They could spit the tobacco. Horrible. Bad enough having smoking areas. "He's no fool, he's Dick." And he turned his quid and spat. "But look here," he went on. "Here's what I want to know, Barbecue. How long are we going to stand off and on like a... How long are we going to stand off and on like a blessed bumboat?" Bumboat, I'm guessing, is like a, a sort of, just a rubbish ship. Let's just call it a rubbish ship. A bumboat. Sounds like something you get insulted at as primary school. "You flipping bumboat." "Ah, you my bumbout?" After someone pushes you over. "Ah, you flipping bumbout?" "I've had almost enough of Captain Smollett." Yeah, I bet they're all fed up of him as well. But maybe Captain Smollett's not the old misery we took him for. Maybe he's just wise. Maybe he's just wise to the crew's ways. "Small boat for ferrying supplies," says Bauble Rob. Yeah, there we go. Like a little, a bumboat. "A bumboat, mate. A bumboat." "I've had almost enough of Captain Smollett. He's hazed me long enough, by thunder. I want to go into that cabin, I do. I want their pickles and wine and that." "Israel," said Silver, "your head ain't much account nor ever was. You're not very clever," is what he basically saying. "But you're able to hear, I reckon. Leastways your ears is big enough. Now here's what I say. You'll bear forward, and you'll live hard, and you'll speak soft, and you'll keep sober, till I give the word, and you may lay to that, my son." I would not. I would do what Long John says, really. "Well, I don't say no, do I?" growled the coxswain. "What I say is, when. That's what I say." "When, by the powers!" cried Silver. "Well now, if you want to know, I'll tell you when. The last moment I can manage, and that's when. Here's a first-rate seaman, Captain Smollett, sails the blessed ship for us. Here's this squire and doctor with a map and such. I don't know where it is, do I? No more do you, says you. Well then, I mean, this squire and doctor shall find the stuff and help us to get it aboard, by the powers. Then we'll see. If I was sure of you all, sons of double Dutchmen, I'd have Captain Smollett navigate us halfway back again before I struck." "Why, we're all seamen aboard here, I should think," said the lad Dick. "With old forecastle hands, you mean?" snapped Silver. "We can steer a course, but who's to set one?" So he's basically saying, he's using Captain Smollett's navigational skills. And he's using the squire and the doctor with the map to get them to the island. He's very careful, he's very meticulous. It's Long John. "We can steer a course, but who's to set one? That's what all you gentlemen split on, first and last. If I had my way, I'd have Captain Smollett work us back into the trades at least. Then we'd have no blessed miscalculations and a spoonful of water a day." So he's basically saying, get us back in the trade winds we talked about yesterday. The things that are going to carry them back where they need to go. The best courses. I don't know if winds refers to the actual winds or the currents, because obviously the currents are more regular. The weather systems, that's how you had to navigate back in them days. It's incredible, by the stars and the wind and the currents in the water. Mad days. "But I know the sort you are. I'll finish with him at the island. As soon as the blunt's on board, and a pity it is, but you're never happy till you're drunk. Split my sides, have a sick heart to sail with the likes of you. Easy, old Long John, cried Israel. Who's a crossing of you? Why, how many tall ships, think you now, have I seen laying aboard? And how many brisk lads drying in the sun at Execution Dock? Cried Silver. And all for this same hurry and hurry and hurry. You hear me? I've seen a thing or two at sea, I have. If you'd only lay your course and a point to windward, you'd ride in carriages you would, but not you, I know you. You'll have your mouthful of rum tomorrow and go hang. So basically he's saying, he's like, why do you all these bloody pirates, they all just want to get pissed up and rob off all the money. Just be careful and be clever and be smart and be ruthless. And he's made a fair few bob, as Long John, by this philosophy. But these pirates, you can't trust them. You can't trust them. Long John don't trust them, and he's their leader. Everybody knowed you was a kind of chaplain, John. But there's others who's could hand and steer as well as you, said Israel. They liked a bit of fun, they did. They wasn't so high and dry, no how, but took their fling like jolly companions, every one. So, says Silver. Well, and where are they now? Pugh was that sort, and he died a beggar man. Flint was, and he died a rum at Savannah. Oh, they was a sweet crew, they was. Only where are they? But, asked Dick, when do we lay 'em athwart? Athwart? What are we to do with 'em anyhow? There's the man for me, cried the cook admiringly. That's what I call business. Well, what would you think? Put 'em ashore like maroons? That would have been England's way. Or cut 'em down like that much pork? That would have been Flint's. Or Billy Bones's. Billy was the man for that, said Israel. Dead men don't bite, says he. So that's how Billy Bones, the captain, as we knew him, he was a pretty nasty bloke. Dead man, what does he say? Dead man don't bite. What do we got? That's all them as youngsters. Hang on, let's go flashback again. That's all them as youngsters. What are we going to do with it? That's not. Whoa, that's too much. Okay. I like that. Hey, young Long John. Hey, what are we going to do with all these men who we just robbed? You like that. What are we going to do with them, you're asking me? Dead men don't bite. All the men are like that. No, please, no. Kill him. And he's killed them all. Long John's like that. That makes good business sense. They're ruthless people. And we're out of flashback now. We're out of flashback. Bloody thing. Oh, hang on. That's another filter, isn't it? No, that's just not. Just light. Anyway. Dead men don't bite. Well, he's dead now himself, said Israel. He knows the long and short of it now. And if ever a rough hand come to port, it was Billy. So, Billy Bones got a bit of a reputation as a bit of a badass amongst the pirates. Right you are, said Silver, rough and ready. But mark you here, I'm an easy man. I'm quite the gentleman, says you. But this time it's serious. Duty's duty, mates. He said that before, it's like his little catchphrase. Duty's duty. It's spelt D-O-O-T-Y. That's how he's pronouncing it. Duty's duty. Duty's duty, mates. I give my vote. Death. And when I'm in Parliament and riding in me coach, I don't want none of these sea lawyers in the cabinet coming home unlooked for like the devil of prayers. Wait, is what I say. But when the time comes, why, let her rip. John, cries the coxswain, you're a man. You'll say so, Israel, when you see, said Silver. Only one thing I claim. I claim Trelawney. I'll wring his calf's head off his body with these hands, Dick. He added, breaking off. Dick! So Long John's like. He's like that. Thank you very much, Mr. Trelawney. All the best, Squire. I'll sort you out. You have something to eat. I'll sort it. And he's like, in his head, he's going, I'm gonna fucking kill him when this is done. He's like,
Good morning, Silver. What a wonderful fellow. Good day. Thank you. Have another cake prepared for that man's birthday. It's old one-armed, two-toothed, eye patch, tattoo of skeleton John's birthday this week. Make a cake, Long John.
He's like that. Yep, be my pleasure, Squire. Don't you worry, I'll get that cooked for you. All right, sir. Oh, ahoy, ahoy, shipmates. Yep, thank you. Squire's off like that. When we take over the ship, I'm going to pull his big, stupid head off. I'm going to grab him with me bare hands. I'm going to fucking kill that Squire. He's rough, Long John. He's a killer. I'll wring his calf's head off with... I'll wring his calf. Get more of the anger in there. You leave that Squire to me. You leave Trelawney to me. I'll wring his calf's head off his body with these hands. Dick, he added, breaking off. You just jump up like a sweet lad and get me an apple to wet me pipe like. You may fancy the terror I was in. So Dick's like, I'll get your apple, Long John. One moment. Jim's like that in the barrel. You may fancy the terror I was in. I should have leapt out and run for it if I'd found the strength, but my limbs and heart alike misgave me. I heard Dick began to rise, and then one seemingly stopped him, and the voice of Hans exclaimed, Oh, stow that. Don't you get stuck into that bilge, John. Let's have a go with a ram. Dick, said Silver, I trust you. Have a gauge on the keg, mind. There's the key. You fill a pannikin and bring it up. Pannikin, like a little skin bottle, basically. Surely in the movie, Jim hands up the apple and no one notices. So we're up here. Let me just get a... Oh, that was easy. No, he's been saved by Israel Hans' thirst for rum. Oh, let's have a rum. Don't be having apples. Go and get us a pannikin of rum. Yep, go and get that pannikin. Fill it up. Terrified as I was, I could not help thinking to myself that this must have been how Mr. Arrow got the strong waters that destroyed him. Yeah, because remember, Mr. Arrow got pissed up and slipped over the side on a stormy night. Slipped? Or was he pushed? I mean, either way, it seems he was metaphorically pushed by all the rum that Long John gave him. Dick was gone but a little while, and during his absence, Israel spoke straight on in the cook's ear. It was but a word or two that I could catch, and yet I gathered some important news. Clings to the inside of the lid like Spider-Man, says Mini-Slot 1997. Oh yeah, like in a film where they're going to find him, and it's like dun 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 dun. And they look around, and they're like and they back off, and you look pans up, and he's like that on the ceiling. So anyway. Long John and Israel Hans whisper into each other. I'll tell you from Long John, family treasure, etc. Yeah, that's right, yeah. Jim can't hear him, he's like that on the barrel. It was but a word or two that I could catch, and yet I gathered some important news. Besides other scraps that tended to the same purpose, this whole clause was audible. Not another man of them will join. Hence, there were still faithful men aboard. Oh, good, so they've not been able to turn all their heads, but they've converted a few of the good crew to the pirate side. When Dick returned, one after another of the trio took the pannikin and drank. One to luck, another with... Oh, no, wait, hang on, I'll do it properly. To luck. That's Israel Hans. Another with... Here's to old Flint. That's Dick, little ass. ass kisser. And Silver himself saying in a kind of song, "Here's to ourselves and hold your luff, plenty of prizes and plenty of duff." A bit lame though, it actually makes Long John seem lamer. Just then a sort of brightness fell upon me in the barrel, and looking up, I found the moon had risen, and was silvering the mizzen top and shining white on the luff of the foresail. And almost at the same time, the voice of the lookout shouted, "Land ho!" End of chapter. What a tense chapter! Oh, far Madonna Santa, what a chapter! Long John's turning the good sailors. Israel Hans is his companion. They were both pirates. They were in the same ship as Captain Million Bones and Blind Pew. Long John Silver wants to pull Squire Trelawney's head off. Oh my.